But Landry Burdine joins us on 365 Sports. TCU off to this red-hot start. Oklahoma State this weekend with Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina, and David Smoak. Landry, thanks for your time. And did even this start kind of catch you off guard for TCU?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think coming out of camp, I think there was some mixed reviews on the radio crew, but I felt good about the atmosphere. I felt good about the culture change that had been implemented, which was obviously going to be a big part of, whether they were successful or not. And you really couldn't argue with the playmakers that they had. The question was going to be around quarterback play, and that was the answer that really nobody had. And I'd be lying if I told you I thought Max Duggan was going to come out and play the way he had. So take that for whatever it's worth. But I thought they were going to be pretty good, maybe not this good.
What is the biggest thing you see culture-wise that Sonny Dykes has changed from Gary Patterson?
Man, that's a good one too. I played for Patterson, and obviously been around him for a decade. I was there when he got there, and I was there when he left. So I'm not sure how many other guys can say that. So I was around him a lot and really understood his culture. I think the difference is probably it's just lighter. It's a lighter mentality. It's a little more laid back. There's a lot more input from the other coaches, and that's not a knock on GP. That's just how he coached, right? And obviously it's successful for him, but it's a more collaborative approach by Sonny Dykes, and he's an encouraging guy, and all of his coaches kind of follow suit. So I think that's probably the biggest difference.
Landry, do you think people, just because of the coaching change, probably underestimated the amount of talent that Gary Patterson left back in Fort Worth?
Yeah, I think they do. But it wasn't like the Frogs were great the last 2 or 3 years.
Sure.
So, I think that probably has something to do with it. But, what we're seeing is, Patterson had a bunch of dudes there. Now, I think what Sonny Dykes and his team did was they came in and patched up a bunch of holes via the transfer portal and even with a freshman and Dominic Williams at nose guard. So, I don't think anybody expected us to be starting a freshman at nose tackle and for him to be doing as well as he's doing. But, there obviously were some weapons on campus, and they brought in the right fit, plugged all the right holes, and, here we are 5-0.
How much do you think the Chandler Morris injury changed the trajectory early on with Max Duggan then having to step in? Or do you think it kind of would have been the same results even if, Chandler Morris had stayed healthy out of the gates?
You guys are getting the good ones today. I don't know that it would have been appreciably different. I think Chandler Morris won the job for a reason out of camp, and he's really accurate. He's regarded as probably the better thrower of the two, and so I think what you would have seen is maybe some more deep balls. Although TCU's done a pretty good job of that. So no, I don't think it would have been a lot different because Colorado wasn't very good. Charleston was worse. And, SMU and Kansas really the two best games. I mean, Oklahoma, I think I might have been able to play quarterback and win that one.
So they have speed galore. They've had that before over the years. But it just seemed like when they were playing Oklahoma, every time I looked up, there was some blown coverage or there just was more speed. That doesn't mean Oklahoma doesn't have it, but maybe just not quite the way they have before. Who would win a 100 meters or a 40 meter, in your opinion, among everybody that right now plays at TCU?
Darius Davis. I don't think there's any question about it. I think he might be the fastest receiver in the country. He would obviously be in the top 5. So, there's no question about that. And I tell you what, the speed difference with Oklahoma, right? Let's take a look at that because Oklahoma's got some of the best speed in the country, and I think a lot of that goes to scheme. And, when you understand what you're being asked to do, you can do it faster. And I think that's what, is a credit to the TCU staff is these guys understand where they want them and how quickly they want them to get there, and they're doing that. So, whereas I think the flip side with Oklahoma is they right now they don't know where to go, and so they can't play fast. And so I think that's part of it too.
Do you think that even like they lost some transfers out, but like that also helped this program, like find the guys who really wanted to be there? Because it was just so last year did not seem like the TCU we'd known over a decade, Landry.
No, that's fair. And, I mean, think about the guys they lost. They lost their two widely regarded their two best draft prospects, Zach Evans and O'Shawn Mathis. Everybody's like, oh, the sky's falling. But, I think TCU's running back room is as deep as it's ever been. And maybe, it's addition by subtraction. We had the exact same thing in 97 when I was a junior and we won one game. Dennis Franchione and his staff with Gary Patterson came in and kind of cleaned house and got rid of some guys that were starters. And lo and behold, we were better because of it. So there's a thing about, having the room right. And and I think that's what you've seen with those guys. And not that Zach Evans or O'Shawn were bad teammates. In fact, it's the exact opposite. But maybe that helped energize some guys. You just never know the effect of that for sure.
Landry, how have you seen the defense evolve and take shape with the new staff?
Well, they're better than they were the last couple of years. The last couple of years defensively has been really bad for TCU. So, Joe Gillespie has a very similar mindset to what Gary Patterson had when he got here. It was a little more free and easy. Let my athletes go make plays. Don't inundate them with too many calls. Get the calls in sooner where everybody's comfortable. And so what you're seeing is not a lot of blown assignments, which has been fun to watch. That's something that really killed TCU the last few years was just miscommunication, blown assignments. So, have they played the best offenses in the league? Not yet, but Kansas is damn good. I'll tell you that. And, while they gave up some yards and there were a few busts in there, when it mattered, they made the play. And I've really liked Joe Gillespie, both as a coach and a person. I mean, he's just a phenomenal human being, and we're lucky to have him. So, I have high hopes for him, and the way he coaches defense, I like. He's aggressive. He's trying to dictate the tempo, and he's not going to let some offense kind of push him around.
So they have Oklahoma State, of course, this weekend in Fort Worth. They had the win against Oklahoma 2 weeks ago, and then had the road trip to Kansas. Oklahoma State is it's not just what they were last year. Mike Gundy, for the most part, has been very good, or very good over the last, almost 2 decades. Your thoughts about what you see with what Spencer Sanders is doing, because he seems to be protecting the football so far.
Yeah, he's not making as many mistakes. I'm going to dig into film. I usually do that Thursday night, so I'm going to be really digging into it a lot more. But it looks like they're taking care of the football offense, and defensively they're gonna force TCU to throw the football. They're not going to allow them to run it. I had watching Kansas game film. It was something that Kansas had a lot of success with. So, this is a very experienced team. They play defense at Oklahoma State now. The last couple of years they've been really good, and so as soon as they could figure out that piece of the puzzle, they've always been good on offense. And as soon as they can start playing any kind of legitimate defense, they were going to be a power. And here we are. I mean, this is a primetime matchup. Week 6 of the season. I mean, I don't know how you could ask for anything better.
Landry Burdine with us, TCU Sideline Reporter on 365 Sports. And one of the other things is the Big 12, obviously, with what TCU's shown. Texas Tech has had this stretch where they've played a lot of ranked teams, and they've had nice wins, and they've had a couple of obviously difficult losses. Texas with their blowout of Oklahoma down. Iowa State appears to be down. We don't know really enough about Baylor. Among some others in the conference, is this one where you right now, Landry, if I said, bet your right pinky on who wins the Big 12, could you do it?
It's so close this year. I think, but just instinctively, I think it's going to come down to Oklahoma State, Texas, and TCU. That's no knock on the Bears or I think Baylor's right there. I think those 4 teams are kind of your cream of the crop. I think what Joey McGuire's doing at Tech is going to be phenomenal. But it's going to take him a little bit longer to get that thing going. So I'd say it's between those 4 teams, and I like the Frogs' chances if they can stay healthy. I think with Quinn Ewers at quarterback, Texas has got to be the favorite. As much as it pains me to say that.
Yeah, they obviously looked very impressive with him healthy last week against Oklahoma. Now, TCU football, there's been ups and downs, and as the change in how people are, it seems like it's more relaxed. We had Craig Way on just a minute ago, and he said he ran into Gary Patterson, and he interviewed him a bunch of times back when he was at TCU, and he was always still tightly wound, and that he seemed to be much more relaxed. Do you wish he could have been that way the last year or two at TCU?
I think as his friend, yeah, but that job doesn't lend itself to that kind of lifestyle, right? I mean, he's a assistant to the head coach now, and obviously that comes with a lot of responsibility, but not near the responsibility that he had as the head coach at TCU. Especially when things are going south. So, I kind of felt like, and you got to keep in mind, it was hard for me because I played for him. He was at my wedding. I mean, we were close, and but there's a season for everything, and I just kind of felt like that one had run its course, and I think everybody knew that, including him. And so, I'm happy for him that he's down there. I think he's going to get some head coaching opportunities, and I think there's probably going to be some pretty high profile ones that he's going to get some serious looks. So I would love to, know that he's, kind of changed his approach a little bit, but that he's a ball coach, man. He's going to do what he has to do to win. And I would have liked for it to end it a little bit differently, sure, but I sure wouldn't change where we're at right now either.
By the way, Joe Gillespie, the defensive coordinator, was at Stephenville, then went to Tulsa under Philip Montgomery and was picked up by Sonny Dykes, and he got him a good one, it appears, without a doubt. You played at Lamar High School. Was that under Eddie Peach?
I did. I came in right after the great J.J. Joe, good friend of mine.
We brought you up. I brought up your text about J.J. and said that he said, hey, say hello to my son, which is interesting because J.J.'s older than you are. And we were trying to figure that out. But J.J. said hello back. I'm sure he might even have texted you, or he'll see you down the road, of course.
Yeah, you won't find a more solid human being than that guy. And, I just think the world of him. And I'd actually grown up going and watching Baylor football with a good buddy of mine who had a place down there. His dad played at Baylor back in the 60s. So I can remember going dove hunting with Cody Carlson and Derek McAdoo and Greg Nunn and all these knuckleheads back in the day. So, I do have a soft spot in my heart for the Bears. Don't tell you my TCU buddies I said that, though.
Well, don't tell Patterson you said that either. That was
yeah, right.
Landry, thank you. We'll see you down the road for that game with Baylor. Thanks for your time. Good luck this weekend with Oklahoma State.
You got it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Landry Burdine, TCU Sideline Reporter. It's good to get the perspective of those guys. They're right there as the